We saw in the previous sections that for functions to be first-class data types, you can assign functions to variables, you can put functions in things like arrays or other data structures, and you can pass functions to other functions. Now we want to look at the fact that you can return functions from functions. After all, the return value of a function can be a number, or the return value of a function can be a string. If functions are first-class data types, you could also return functions from functions. The return value of a function can itself be a function. And then we'll have some other points we'll look at in the later sections. All right, again, I'm in the same Firebug environment as before, so I already have a function called square. And I already have a function called double. All right, now let's make a function that randomly decides which of those two functions, square or double, to return. Function random funct. And it will say if, remember that we can use math.random to flip a coin. Math.random returns a floating point number, a decimal number between 0 and 1. If the random number generator in JavaScript is good, then it should have a 50-50 chance of being less than or greater than 0.5. So if it's true, I will return square. Otherwise, I will return double. Okay, so now I'm going to call it. I'm going to say var f equals random funct. And before I call it, I want to ask the question, once I make this call, what kind of data type is f? And the main thing to understand is f at this point will not be a number. It will be a function. I'm not going to call the square function and return that number. I'm not going to call the double function and return that number. I'm going to return the actual square or double function. Okay, so f is now a function. And which function is it? The answer is, I don't know. It might be the square function. It might be the double function. Let's find out. F of 10. Am I going to get 100 or am I going to get 20? I don't know. 50-50 chance. Oh, I got 20. Now, here's the even more critical point. Suppose I call f of 10 again. What's the likelihood that I'll get 20 again? Think about this. Try to answer this. If I just click around again right now, what's the probability that I'm going to get 20 instead of 100? Answer that before you actually pause the video, think about it, give an answer, then start the video again. Okay, you got an answer? The answer is 100%. For sure, it's going to give me 20. It doesn't matter how many times I call it, I'm going to get 20. Because if I go back and I look in the history, and I look at my function definition, when I called random funct, it flipped a coin. But the thing that it returned was one of these functions. In other words, the return value of random funct, the thing that I assigned to the f variable, was not a function that flipped a coin. It was either square or double. I flipped a coin when I decided what to assign to f, when I called random funct. But once I returned it, it was just square or double. The return value of random funct does not do any randomization. It does randomization in deciding what to return, but once it's returned it, it's just one of the existing functions. Now, this is hard to wrap your mind around. This is difficult stuff. You need to practice with it a lot. But once you get used to it, you say, oh, well, you know, I flipped a coin and I returned a number, either 3 or 7. Well, if I look up that number again, it doesn't change, only if I call the function again. So the same idea here, I flipped a coin to return a function. Once I've returned that function, it doesn't change. Okay, but if I call that again, now I have a 50-50 chance that f will be reassigned to a new function. Was it or was it not? I don't know. I have to try it and see. Oh, it's still 20. So let's try it again. Oh, it's 100. But if I run it again, it's still 100, it's still 100, it's still 100. As many times as I run it, it's 100. So the point is, when I call random funct, it does a randomization. But the return value of random funct is just a normal function that doesn't do any randomization. All right, so you can return numbers from functions. We do this all the time. That's what square does. We can return strings from functions, but we can also return functions from functions.